I paid my ex-fiancee's way through college only for her to ask for an open marriage. Hey, true story. First off, I just want to say thank you for the platform you've created. I've been watching your channel for a while now, and hearing the stories of other men from around the world has been a huge help to me. For a long time, I felt like I was the only one going through some of the things I've experienced. There's something powerful about knowing you're not alone, and even though my story is long and filled with its share of regret and lessons, I think it's worth sharing. My name's Rob. I'm 32 years old and I run my own IT company. I started it when I was 23, still in college with nothing but a crazy dream and a $3,400 private loan I took out to get things off the ground. I know some people might think that's not much, but when you're young, broke, and just trying to survive college life, it was a big gamble. My parents were paying for my school tuition, and I fully admit I had that privilege, so I wasn't drowning in student loans like most of my peers. I figured if I was ever going to take a chance on myself, that was the time. The company started small, just me and my laptop pulling late nights, but now it's an around-the-clock IT support firm for several companies. By my mid-20s, I was doing better than most my age, financially stable, and I thought I had life figured out. Then I met her. It's funny how life works. Sometimes the biggest turning points come out of completely random situations. I wasn't even supposed to be at that charity basketball tournament. A buddy of mine called me last minute, said one of the players had dropped out, and they needed someone to fill in. I played ball all through high school and stayed in decent shape, so I thought, why not? It was for a good cause, and I had the time. That's where I met her, my ex-fiancée. She was on the opposing team. Tall, athletic, beautiful, with this confident energy that drew people in. I'm not going to lie. From the first moment she stole the ball from me and scored a quick layup, I was hooked. We were trash-talking each other on the court, laughing, and afterward, she came over and introduced herself. The chemistry was instant. We started dating shortly after. Things moved fast, and I mean fast. Looking back, I should have slowed down, but I was young, successful, and thought I had found the woman who was meant to be by my side. She was in college too at the time, finishing her undergrad and talking about how she wanted to go to graduate school. She told me she was saving money, working 2 part-time jobs, and trying to make it happen. I admired that about her. She seemed ambitious, driven, and I wanted to support her in any way I could. When we got serious, marriage came up. We were both in our mid-20s, and I thought it made sense. I was in love. I had the means to provide, and I thought we shared the same vision for the future. After we got engaged and later married, she brought up graduate school again. Only this time, instead of saving money and working her jobs, she asked me if I could help. Now, to me, it wasn't even a question. Of course, I said yes. I thought that's what a husband was supposed to do. Support his wife, help her chase her dreams, invest in her future. I thought I was doing the right thing. I covered her tuition, her books, even some of her living expenses while she cut back her hours at work to focus on school. I poured thousands into her education without blinking an eye because I believed in us. But here's what I didn't see. While I thought I was building a foundation for our life together, she was laying the groundwork for her escape plan. The shift started small. At first, it was subtle things. She became more distant, more critical. Where she used to praise me for working hard and running my business, she started treating it like it wasn't enough. She'd compare me to her classmates, professors, or some guy in her program who was chasing a PhD. She started dressing differently too, more revealing, more attention-seeking. And while I didn't mind her feeling confident, I could sense her confidence wasn't for me anymore. Then came the bombshell. One night she sat me down at the kitchen table, and with the most casual tone you could imagine, she asked if we could have an open marriage. She tried to sell it to me like it was progressive, like it would strengthen our relationship, and how she felt she needed to explore herself while still being committed to me. I'll never forget the way she looked at me when she said it. Like I wasn't even a real man if I didn't agree. Like the years I spent grinding to build my business, the money I invested into her education, the roof I provided over her head. None of it mattered. It broke something in me. I told her flat out, no, no hesitation, no compromise. I don't share my woman. I don't compete in my own relationship. And I sure as hell don't bankroll someone's future just so they can monkey branch to the next guy. From that moment on, her attitude completely changed. She stopped even pretending to respect me. She treated me like I was in her way, like I was the obstacle keeping her from the life she thought she deserved. The warmth, the intimacy, the partnership. It was all gone. So I made the hardest decision of my life. I told her to get out. Luckily, the house we lived in was mine before the marriage. My name, my mortgage, my asset. I wasn't worried about having to sell or fight for it in divorce court. I gave her a couple of days to gather her things and then I cut off all contact. Blocked her number, deleted her socials, and told her family I didn't want to hear from them either. I went no contact cold turkey. And you know what? It hurt like hell. For weeks, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I'd wake up in the middle of the night sweating, angry, confused. I'd replay the conversations in my head, wondering how I missed the signs, how I let myself get used like that. But slowly, with time, the fog lifted. I started to see her for who she really was. Someone who never loved me, only what I could provide. To this day, I have no idea where she is. I don't care. She's gone, and that chapter is closed. But before I wrap this up, I'll leave you with the cliffhanger, because there's a part 2 to this story I need to share. See, after she left, her sister started showing up in my life more than I expected. She'd check in on me, act concerned, and over time, I realized her intentions weren't as innocent as they seemed. I tried to ignore it, tried to keep my distance, but one night, after too much drinking, I slipped up. I'll save those details for the next email, but let's just say things got messy in a way I never expected. That's where I'll leave it for now. True story. Thanks for reading my story and for giving guys like me a place to speak the truth. Hey, True Story, this is Rob again. Thanks for accepting my first email and letting me get that story off my chest. Before you post, maybe you can add this. Like I said at the end, there was more to it, and I think it's important to share because a lot of guys might find themselves in similar messy situations. This part of the story is about what happened after I went no contact with my ex and how her own sister complicated things in ways I never imagined. When my ex-fiancée left, I thought the worst part was over. I had kicked her out, cut off contact, and focused on rebuilding myself. I was in my late 20s, single, financially secure, and determined not to let her betrayal break me. But here's the thing. When you go through something like that, you become vulnerable in ways you don't always see at first. Oh, I thought I was strong and focused. But looking back, I realized I was wide open to making mistakes. And that's exactly what happened. Her sister came into the picture not long after. Now, let me back up for a second. I knew her sister fairly well during the relationship. They were close, not twins or anything, but only 2 years apart. If my ex was the driven academic one, her sister was the opposite. More laid back, more outgoing, kind of the wild child of the family. She worked different jobs, dated around, but she had this energy about her. Fun, carefree, almost reckless. To be honest, I always thought she was attractive, but I never ever crossed that line or even entertained the thought when I was with my ex. But after the breakup, she started reaching out to me. At first, it was innocent enough. She'd text and ask how I was doing, check in on me. She said she felt bad about what her sister had done and thought I didn't deserve it. She'd make little comments about how I treated my ex better than any man ever had, how I was a real provider, and how her sister was a fool for letting me go. At first, I brushed it off. I figured she was just being supportive, but then it escalated. She started showing up at my house just to talk. She'd bring food sometimes, say she thought I needed company. She'd sit close on the couch, laugh at all my jokes, compliment the way the house looked, how nice it was that I owned it on my own. She'd say things like, "You know, my sister didn't appreciate you, but I see it." That's when the alarm bells should have gone off. But like I said, I was vulnerable. I had just been rejected in the worst possible way, told by the woman I loved that I wasn't enough, that she wanted other men. And here was her sister, basically telling me the opposite. It stroked my ego, filled a hole I didn't even realize had gotten so big. For a while, I resisted. I kept things friendly, tried to draw boundaries, but she was persistent. And one night, after way too many drinks, I slipped. I won't dress it up or sugarcoat it. We slept together. It wasn't planned. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't even about her. It was about me trying to numb the pain and prove to myself that I was wanted. But the second it was over, reality hit me like a freight train. I remember lying there, staring at the ceiling, thinking, what the hell did I just do? Here I was, the guy who prided himself on integrity, on standing firm when my ex tried to disrespect me with the open marriage nonsense. And yet, I had just done the one thing that guaranteed I could never fully separate myself from her world. I had slept with her sister. The next morning, she acted like it was no big deal. She was smiling, making coffee in my kitchen like it was the most natural thing in the world. She even joked, "Guess I got the better sister after all." But to me, it wasn't funny. It was a mistake, and I knew it. The weeks that followed were messy. She started coming around more, acting like we were a couple. She'd drop hints about wanting to take things further, about how I should give her a chance. I tried to pull back, told her it couldn't happen again, but she didn't want to hear it. And of course, word eventually got back to my ex. I don't know who told her, maybe her sister herself, maybe one of their family members, but somehow she found out. And when she did, the explosion that followed was unlike anything I had ever seen. My phone blew up with messages, voicemails, threats. She accused me of betraying her, of destroying her family, of being worse than anything she had ever done. The irony of it all was unreal. This was the same woman who had asked me for an open marriage, who was basically planning to monkey branch as soon as she had her degree. And now she wanted to play the victim because I had slept with her sister. It was hypocrisy at its finest. Still, the drama was exhausting. Her family got involved too. Her mom called me, crying, begging me to stay away from both daughters. Her dad, who had always been cold toward me, suddenly found his voice and told me I was disgusting and that I'd ruined their family name. I cut them all off, but the sister? She didn't stop. For months, she'd text me late at night, show up at my house uninvited, and try to get back into my life. I'll be real with you, true story. There were a couple more slip-ups. I'm not proud of it, but I won't lie either. The combination of loneliness, liquor, and her persistence broke me down a few times. But every time it happened, I felt worse afterward. It took a long time before I finally put my foot down and ended it for good. I told her straight up, we were done. It was never going to be anything more, and I didn't want her in my life. She cried, tried to guilt me, even threatened to tell people things that weren't true. But I held firm. Walking away from her felt like walking away from the last tie to my ex, and once I did that, I finally started to feel free. Looking back now, I realized the whole situation was a test of my self-control and my ability to enforce boundaries. I failed at first, no question, but I also learned from it. I learned that pain and rejection can make you do things that go against your own values if you're not careful. I learned that just because someone shows you attention when you're vulnerable doesn't mean they're the right person for you. And most importantly, I learned that healing doesn't come from distraction or revenge. It comes from truly stepping away and rebuilding yourself. Today, I'm in a much better place. My business has grown even more. I've expanded my team, taken on bigger clients, and I'm proud of the empire I'm building. Personally, I've grown too. I work out more, I travel, I spend time with friends who genuinely support me. I haven't rushed into another relationship because I know I needed to reset my mind and heart before I could give myself to anyone again. Do I regret what happened with her sister? Yes and no. Yes, because it was messy and beneath the standard I set for myself. No, because it taught me lessons I might not have learned otherwise. It forced me to confront parts of myself I had ignored. If there's any advice I'd give to men listening to this, it's this. Don't let rejection and betrayal push you into making choices that don't align with who you are. Pain is temporary, but the consequences of your decisions can stick with you for years. Protect your peace, protect your dignity, and never forget that walking away is sometimes the strongest move you can make. So that's part 2 of my story, true story. From paying for my ex's education only to be asked for an open marriage, to slipping up with her sister, to finally cutting ties and rebuilding myself, it's been one hell of a journey. Thanks for giving me the chance to share. This is Rob again. So, where my head is at today, what I've learned, and how my perspective on relationships, marriage, and life as a man has changed because of everything I went through. This part is less about events and more about mindset. I've replayed my life over and over, trying to understand why I ended up in the situations I did and where I went wrong. The conclusion I keep coming back to is this. The best decision a man can make today is to put his energy into himself, his goals, and his success, and not into chasing marriage or even relationships. I know that sounds harsh to some people, but it's the reality I've come to live by. Let me explain how I got here. When I look back, my downfall wasn't my ex. It wasn't even her sister. My downfall was the way I put women on a pedestal. I thought being a good man meant sacrificing for them, investing in them, and carrying the burden while they reaped the rewards. I thought that if I gave enough, financially, emotionally, spiritually, it would come back to me in loyalty and love. But that's not how it worked out. I paid for my ex's education, gave her stability, and offered her a future that most women her age would have dreamed of. Instead of valuing that, she used it as leverage to position herself for the next step up. She wanted the degree, the lifestyle, the options, and when she had them, she decided I wasn't enough. That open marriage request wasn't about exploring herself. It was her safe exit plan, a way to monkey branch without burning her bridge with me. And her sister? That situation only happened because I was still operating from the same broken mindset. I was hurt, vulnerable, and I let attention and flattery cloud my judgment. Instead of focusing on myself and healing, I distracted myself with the worst possible option. The one woman who guaranteed more chaos. The problem wasn't them. It was me not understanding the game I was playing. The realization. Here's the truth I've learned. Marriage isn't built for men anymore. Maybe decades ago it was. Maybe back when families, communities, and values were stronger, it made sense. But today, marriage is a liability for men, plain and simple. Think about it. What does a man really gain from marriage that he can't already have without it? Love. You can have that without paperwork. Kids. You can raise kids without signing a legal contract that ties your finances to someone else's whims. Companionship. Plenty of ways to get that. Now compare that to what you risk. The legal system is not designed to protect men in marriage. If it goes south, and let's be honest, the divorce rates show it often does, the man usually loses the most. His money, his assets, his kids, his peace of mind. Even when he did everything right, he can walk away with nothing while she walks away with half. I built my company from the ground up. Every late night, every client I landed, every dollar reinvested, that was me. Why would I put all of that on the line just to say I'm married? Why would I risk decades of work because someone fell out of love or decided they needed to explore themselves? The way I see it, marriage today is like playing Russian roulette with your future. You might get lucky, but the odds aren't in your favor, and I'm not interested in gambling with everything I've built. All women the same. Now, let me clarify something. I don't literally believe every single woman on earth is the same. People are individuals, and I know there are women out there who genuinely value loyalty and partnership. But here's the thing. As a man, you can't tell who's who in the beginning. Everyone puts on their best face at the start. My ex seemed ambitious, supportive, loving. Her sister seemed fun and carefree. But when pressure hit, when life tested them, the mask slipped. So while I don't say all women are the same, I will say this. The pattern is the same. The incentives are the same. Society tells women they can have it all. The provider husband, the side flings, the backup plan. And if it blows up, no accountability. Men, on the other hand, are told to provide, protect, and endure. And when we burn out or get betrayed, it's still somehow our fault. It's not worth the gamble anymore. Success as the focus. Instead of investing in relationships, I've chosen to invest in myself. My company has grown because I put the energy I used to waste on drama into building systems, hiring talent, and scaling operations. I wake up excited about my work, not drained by wondering if someone is betraying me behind my back. Financially, I'm in the best shape of my life. Emotionally, I'm steadier too. Gym, travel, networking, hobbies, these are the things that feed me now. And you know what's funny? The more I focus on myself, the more attention I get anyway. Women notice success. They notice the lifestyle, the confidence, the independence. But here's the difference. I don't chase it anymore. I don't give them the power to validate me. If I go on a date, fine. If I don't, also fine. My happiness isn't tied to whether a woman is in my life or not. Advice to other men. For any guy listening to this, especially the younger ones, learn from my mistakes. Don't hand your life over to someone else and hope they'll treat it with the care it deserves. Protect yourself first. Build yourself first. If you decide to get married one day, at least go into it with your eyes wide open. Understand the risks, the laws in your state, and the fact that you're not guaranteed loyalty no matter how much you give. But personally, I say don't do it. Use your 20s and 30s to grind, to stack, to build. By the time you're in your 40s, you'll have freedom most men only dream of. You won't be stuck paying alimony, losing half your assets, or raising kids alone because someone got bored. Focus on being successful and let everything else come second. Closing thoughts. True story. When I wrote that first email, I was still raw, angry, hurt, confused. By part 2, I was starting to reflect and understand my own role in the mess. Now, in part 3, I feel like I've reached a place of clarity. Marriage isn't for me. Relationships aren't my focus. Success, peace, and independence. That's the life I want. And honestly, I've never felt more free. Thanks again for giving me this platform. If my story saves even one man from making the mistakes I made, it'll be worth it.